Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Just stick to the script. I work in a call center for a regional bank, handling everything from balance inquiries to fraud alerts. The job isn't glamorous, but most of us were good at it because we knew how to actually talk to people and calm them down. One day, corporate decided we were going off message too often. They rolled out a new script we were required to follow word for word. No improvising. No adapting to the customer's tone or urgency. Just read the script. We all knew this would go badly. One-size-fits-all language doesn't work when someone's card just got stolen or their mortgage payment didn't go through. But management was adamant, if you deviate from the script, it's a write-up. So I complied. Religiously. One day a customer called, clearly panicked. Someone just charged $800 at Best Buy on my card and I'm at work. I didn't do it. Cancel it now. I took a deep breath and replied, exactly as the script instructed, I'm so sorry to hear you're experiencing this inconvenience. I'd be happy to assist you with that today. Before we begin, may I ask how your day is going so far? Dead silence. Then the customer said, seriously? I continued, we strive to provide exceptional customer service with every call. Can I please have your 16-digit card number to better assist you? The guy actually laughed. I hope they're recording this call. They were. And so were 3 others that week where I stuck to the script in absurd situations, people locked out of online banking, someone whose check bounced, a woman crying because of a fraud lock on her account. My supervisor pulled me into a room, looking annoyed but also kind of sheepish. We've had some feedback. You don't have to follow the script that strictly. Me, oh, I thought it was a write-up if we deviated. Just use your judgment, okay? The script was officially optional within the month. I probably enjoyed this too much. Edit. It's motivating to see so many of you have experienced the same script. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. We hope your experience was helpful and your questions were answered. If you have a moment to improve our service, please consider clicking this feedback link. The dread of knowing customers think a 9 out of 10 is a good score, when it's actually a performance strike. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Charity mugger wants me to donate him a commission. Sorry, my city has chuggers, charity muggers. These are people working for companies that are contracted by charities to raise funds for them. Chuggers want people to sign up for monthly donations. This is because the chugger gets a nice commission of each monthly donation. In fact, if a person cancels their monthly donations before a year has passed, the charity actually loses money as they have to keep on paying commission to the chugger. Chuggers stand outside shopping centers and train stations and canvass the public to sign up for these monthly donations. They can be quite persistent and manipulative. A chugger approached me outside a train station and asked me if I'd like to donate to major charity. I took out a $20 note and told him I'm happy to donate. He said that he cannot accept a one-off donation and that monthly donations are better as one-off donations are kept aside for 3 years before being used for scrap projects. He said that $20 was the minimum monthly amount he could sign me up for. I looked at his shirt and saw that he was working for a major charity. I took out my phone and went directly to the charity's website. I selected $25 as a monthly option and showed my screen to him. This shouldn't be a problem, right? I asked. The chugger looked like a broken record. Oh well, you see. He then walked away looking pissed. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. If I'm not a full-time employee. I went to a for-profit film/photography school and was a student worker, PT, in the equipment checkout, think camera, audio, lighting, etc. rental department. My primary job was repairing damaged equipment, and I was good at it. One of the best managers I have ever had knew I was about to drop out of school in my last year because I couldn't afford it anymore, so she offered me a promotion to full-time. which would allow me to take my final 6 classes at no cost, though I'd be working full-time, when she approved my promotion, which included my pay rate doubling. I started working full-time. After a few days, she left for a 3-week cruise, a family vacation she had been preparing over a year for. With her on PTO were now only 2 employees in the department. The rest were PT student workers, and none of them did repair work. I'd been working FT for 2 weeks, and she had been on PTO for 1. When paychecks came out, mine was 1/2 of what I was expecting. They had not raised my pay rate. I went to HR on my lunch break to dispute/discuss, and HR was next to useless. "I'm sorry, but your promotion has not been approved yet. These things take time. It might go through at the end of the month, 2 more weeks. This is not personal, it's just the regulations." I didn't get mad. I didn't yell. I simply told the HR rep that I needed to think about it. So I walked around the rest of my break and thought. After that, I went back to HR. And told them this: for the past 2 weeks, I have been working FT, and repairing equipment at the level of a trained technician. As you have stated, my full-time position is not yet authorized, and as such I can only work a maximum of 24 hours per week. It's Wednesday afternoon, and I have maxed out my hours for the week. I'll be going home now. I have a dog to walk and a pool to swim in. I was house-sitting for my manager. Did I say that she was awesome? I'm not quitting. I'll be back for my regular shift next Monday. And I will be working 24 hours per WK, at the level of a student worker. I'm sure the pile of broken gear will still be there waiting for me. Please understand, there is nothing personal about this. I'm simply following the employee regulations. At that point I left the campus and drove to the house, walked the dog, and had a swim. Just before 5 p.m. I got a call. "Matt, can you come in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.? We have some papers for you to fill out to finalize your promotion." Long story short, HR/payroll refused to put through a promotion to FT that my manager had approved. I refused to work FT until my promotion was approved. My manager loved hearing it from HR when she got back. Edit. Seems like a common question is, did I get the back pay? Sadly, the answer is no, because the official promotion paperwork, contracts, employee handbook, etc., had not been finalized and approved. But I did end up staying there for around 10 more years. Second edit. Wow, this really blew up. I've told this story before to people, and it's my first real post, other than comments, on Reddit. To expand on the back pay questions, I was paid for the hours I worked, just not at the higher rate. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Stick to the schedule. A few years ago I was hired as head of bar operations at a new restaurant opening. A hugely successful even if quite average restaurant group, opening a new 3-floor, 280-seater restaurant. The opening was a bit of a shit show. I was drafted in late as they fired a lot of opening managers, which should have been a red flag big enough for me to pass on the opportunity really. One of my many responsibilities was to write the rota/schedule for our 30-odd bar staff. There were a few stipulations I had to stick to, importantly that I had to have a manager from the bar side on duty at all times. After a few weeks of doing so, a new area manager was hired who took over from the general manager on day-to-day operations. One of the things he implemented was that he would write the rotas, and just generally micromanage. He subsequently uploads a rota when in the first week there were 2 days without manager on duty. I highlighted this to him in person, where I was pretty rudely told to just do my job and work with what was passed down to me. In turn, I decided to email him, the general manager and one of the company directors explaining the issue and how it must be an oversight. But attached a new proposed set of rotas that would fix the issue. The next day the new area manager pins me in the office and again tells me how I'm going above my station and should just do my fucking job and adhere to the rota. He said he'd amended and sorted it all. So I did. The following day is my day off. There was no manager on duty, and a general lack of staff in the building. My phone starts going off from 8 a.m., and at about 2 p.m. I decided to respond to some of the messages and highlight how I was doing what I was told. The next day, the area manager requests a sit-down meeting, with a witness, and fires me, something he didn't have approval to do given I don't report to him. I get my dismissal paperwork via email, and naturally say I have some issue with it due to the reasons I've outlined and have the receipts to prove it. I ended up getting a pretty decent payout due to being unfairly dismissed. Another few days later, the new area manager has moved on from the business with immediate effect. I don't think he was able to find work throughout most of COVID subsequently. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Another "You don't sound sick to me." See a few people calling in sick stories, and this reminded me of a malicious compliance from my team. Many years ago now, but the gist is there. When I was managing a retail team, I had a call from one of my team while I was in an early meeting with the company owner. I answered it and put it on speaker, just habit. Me: "Hi Danny, what's up, Danny? Hey boss. Not feeling well so won't make it in today." Now Danny sounds as chipper as can be. No croakiness or fatigue in his voice. Me: "No worries. Thanks for the notice. Rest up. If you don't think you'll make it in tomorrow, make sure you get a sick note clearing you for work if you can. You're clear on the policy, right, Danny?" "Will do. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye." Hang up phone and go to resume meeting, and boss starts grilling me. He didn't sound sick. What's even wrong with him? Your team mustn't respect you. Blah blah blah. Now while Danny wasn't our best worker, he was up there and the team and customers loved him. And him calling in sick was rare. And honestly my feelings were a bit hurt by him telling me they didn't respect me. I wasn't long in that position, but I worked my way up there and they all knew that. Proceed to a debate that my team's stats were brilliant per what we were meeting about, that I disagree about them not respecting me because he didn't feel the need to put on a voice. And the reality was what was the matter was irrelevant. He's calling in sick, he's sick. He'd never given me a reason not to trust him. I thought that was the end of it. Not quite. Next day Danny comes in and the boss immediately calls him and I into his office. He starts giving Danny the talk. Commitment to the company, sick days are for when you're sick and unable to work, and how he didn't sound sick. Danny start grinning and just pulls up his sleeve showing a very recently bandaged arm. I'm not sure how I should sound to convey this over the phone. Should've I coughed? How many stitches does it take to give me a croaky voice? I burst out laughing. Boss to his credit took it in stride, he was usually a pretty good guy. Danny obviously told the team about it too. Now whenever any of the team happened to call in sick when they knew I had a meeting with the owner, it went like this: Becky calls. Coughing and spluttering. Sorry boss coughs again, won't make it in today. Another fit of coughing, child has gastro so need to take the day off to take care of him, coughing continues. Mitch calls. Very croaky voice, can't make it in. Twisted my ankle and need to stay off it for a few days. Bell calls. Coughing, spluttering, fatigued voice. Not sure I'll make it in today. Car won't start. Can I take Toil to arrange repairs today? Cue the next staff all hands, usually beers and a barbecue in the car park, and talking upcoming changes for the next quarter, whereas part of that owner gives out a best acting award and also asks them to cut it out. I'm worked there for quite a few years. I knew the owner personally before I started working there. While the owner and I didn't always see eye to eye, he was usually a good guy, just had some bad staff and managers in the past and definitely needed more coffee that morning. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story. So please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. The Weekend Guide. Back in the 1970s, I was working in an automotive transmission factory as an inspector. The part one was checking had to be very straight. If it wasn't straight, it could be straightened, but if it went on to heat treat, the next process after my inspection, it couldn't be bent straight. It had to be scrapped. I was able to check around 400 pieces each night, sometimes more, sometimes less. A lot depended on the percentage bent pieces in each lot. The guy on day shift was getting similar numbers. This was fine for a couple of months, until someone worked a Saturday overtime shift at my station. At the start of my shift the following Monday evening, my foreman informed me that the weekend guy had checked 700 pieces. And he expected me to check 700 that night. I tried to explain that the only way to check 700 pieces would cause a lot of bad parts to get through. Do whatever you have to do, I want you to check 700 pieces tonight, was the advice I was given. When I got to my workstation I saw that the weekend guy had indeed checked 700 parts. Exactly 700 parts. With exactly 400 good parts, and exactly 300 rejected, needing to be straightened. No way those numbers represented accurate measurements. Normally I'd only have 40 or 50 pieces out of 400 needing straightening. These were fake numbers, although there were 300 pieces ready to be straightened, so I assumed that 400 had indeed gone to heat treat, but I followed the procedure I had explained to the foreman, still trying to be as accurate as possible. I checked something like 650 parts with around 200 pieces in the reoperate racks. Tuesday night, the foreman stopped me and told me to go back to the way I had been checking previously. Apparently, between the weekend guy's 400 good pieces, my good pieces from Monday evening, and presumably the pieces from day shift on Monday, there were a lot of scrap pieces coming out of heat treat. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story. So please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Written up for being nice. This happened years ago when I worked in a distribution center. It was one of those days where they were trying to cram 50 people's work into 25 people, which is typical in these places. I was tired of it and had sick time, so I went to my supervisor before lunch break and said, "Hey, I'm gonna leave after lunch." We usually told him when we were going to do this so that over our lunch, he has time to move people around and cover the empty work slot. Well, I was on a shit list with a person in upper management and they wanted to use this to burn me. They called me into the office the next day. "You told him you were going to leave well before you left. How did you know ahead of time you would be sick after lunch? Sick time is for being sick only, so if you use it without being sick, you are stealing company time." And that's what they wrote me up for, so if I would have lied and said I feel sick, I'm going home immediately, I wouldn't be in trouble. I asked, to which they actually replied, "Yes, cue malicious compliance." I told everyone at work, 150 people, that if you notify that you are leaving ahead of time, you will get written up for time theft. No one ever did it again. From that point on, it was, "I don't feel good, I'm going home," from anyone who wanted to. Meaning their job position went unmanned for the 30 minutes it takes to restructure and reassign job tasks. Meaning every day, 2 to 3 times a day they would have to take someone from another job and put them in a backed up mess. Which led to more call-offs. It got so bad that the upper management started an intimidation campaign in which they would start saying things like, "I'm starting to see a pattern, whenever people left early more than once in a year, I now have a new job that is a million times better, but thought I'd share this here." Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Alright, game on. I'm not sure this exactly malicious compliance, but here goes. As a military officer, it was required to apply to retire 12 months out from your retirement date. I was in what I would call a mid-level manager job. I had about 40 employees and we had a $500 million annual budget for our program. My team was really great with very professional and competent people and rarely any issues. We performed really well. They would come to me with their issues and over time I saw patterns and we would fix them. For instance, one issue we solved saved the organization $64 million over a 4-year period. We had a lot of other smaller wins, a few million here and there, but that was a biggie. My boss, who was bucking for general, was a jerk. For lots of reasons, but just a sour and unhappy person. About 7 months from my retirement in the following spring, we decided to move my spouse and kids to my hometown to be able to start the new school year. We had a house and just needed to move and get set up. I asked for 3 weeks and the boss would only give me 2 weeks. That only gave us a week and a half to get my family settled after the 4-day drive with kids, animals, etc., plus the furniture and everything to arrive just 2 days before I had to be on a plane back. So I was salty. Game on. I was prior enlisted and knew how to play the game by the book. It is important to note that I only missed about 10 days of work in 23 years due to illness. 2 things happened. No more multi-million-dollar savings ideas that made the boss look good came out of my office, and it was time for me to take care of stuff I neglected over the years. In regular meetings, when asked where the next savings was going to come from, it was always crickets. I knew I needed surgery for an injury I had and had some other medical issues I had been neglecting due to work and just life. I planned to take care of all that post-retirement, as it would give me time to recover and figure out what I would do for a living because we couldn't survive on just retirement. Since my boss wouldn't let me get my family settled, it was time to take care of all my medical issue. I made medical appointments to get checked out for all my issues. I had 2 procedures that had me out of work for a week each. But the cherry on top was I got surgery the day before Thanksgiving and the doctor had me on convalescent leave for 4 weeks. When you are on leave like that, you have to have a form signed by your boss and it indicates the address where you will be taking that time to recover. Of course, I used my hometown address so my wife could help me recover. Boss was pissed and tried to deny the leave. It went to our version of HR and they said he had to allow it. That made him even more pissed. In the end, I got to spend the holidays with my family across the country and only had about 3 weeks left on the job before taking my terminal leave, that he could not deny, when I returned. I didn't want a ceremony or anything, I just rode off into the sunset. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Sometimes people know what they are talking about. Here we have another IT story. One of my many tasks is to create specific document templates that will be used by the company to show off achievements. For some unknown reason, those that are in the higher-up suites decided to change the look of the certificates. I am given a copy of the certificate and told to update the system that will do the printing. I start off by taking the existing certificate and try to match the new certificate to the template. After much frustration, I decide that I will have to start over and spend some time redesigning the document template from scratch. It takes a bit longer than I expected, and when I did my first prints, the various fields were out of line. This is tedious work as it means checking, move the elements by little increments. I get everything aligned except for the date, and no matter what I try the date will not move up or down. I ask some of the guys in our development department and none of them can figure this one out. We are all stumped. I do some research and discover that the problem is the renderer, the program that takes the template and inserts the data. For those non-IT people, one of the issues that is raised is that the renderer has a bug that will move items around at random and unless placed in a fixed location will just keep on changing the template. The changes are very minute, probably no more than 1 or 2 millimeters. I send the higher-ups an email explaining all of this after. I had reached a serious point of frustration as this task should have taken about half a day and I have now been at it for 2 days. I send my boss an email explaining what the problem is and if they may know somebody that can help. Next thing I am called into a Teams meeting with the higher-ups and asked what the problem is. I explain everything. The higher-up tells me to open the original template and we will redo that to match the new certificate. I follow instruction and keep adding my few cents worth. I am then told to do what I am told and get on with it. I am also told that I must stop any other work. Now comes the malicious compliance part. I do as I am told, make the changes as requested. We work line by line and make the changes. We then check that the change is correct on the certificate. I am asked to print the completed template document to the printer in their office. No problem, I do as I am told. I stop responding to emails, doing other work while waiting for the people from the other office to do their thing and tell me what the next set of changes are. This goes on for nearly a week. The higher-ups are losing their mind because every time we change one thing other things go out of alignment and we need to go back and fix them, when I am not sitting at my desk looking at my computer screen. I am doing a bit of research to see if I can find a solution but not saying anything to anyone. Remember what I was told, I am having dinner with the family and mentioned this to my son. He is a software developer. He asks if he can look at the code and tells me that the code that I had been working on for the higher-ups is seriously wrong. He gives me some tips on how to fix it so that the elements are locked in and will not move. I sit down in just over an hour I produce a new set of code that needs to be tested to see if it is robust enough. Now for the outcome. Today I go into the office, get pulled into a Teams meeting again to continue with the product that isn't working. I make a passing comment that my son helped me with the template and has put in more robust settings. The higher-ups reluctantly agree to try as they say we have nothing to lose. We made the first print and one of the items was out of alignment, made a change and the item held its position. Took a few hours and the template is now working like it is supposed to. I even got a well done from the higher-ups. Sometimes there are others that know what they are talking about. Kindly subscribe the channel and support me to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment. Here I am again with another story, so please consider subscribing to keep me motivated for creating content and bringing it to you for your entertainment.